Hey guys, and welcome to another episode of M14 Spoiler Reviews. Today I'll be looking at some more of the great cards that will be coming our way in the next core set, along with one of the most talked about reprints we've seen in a long time that will be the Scourge of Token decks in and around constructed play. So without further ado, let's get going with our first spoiler of the day. Up first is Advocate of the Beast, a green elf creature that is somewhat of a pseudo beast lord at common. A 2/3 for 3 in limited is not to be sniffed at by any means, plus with the added ability of pumping up a beast creature at your end step with a +1/+1 counter, this card should be a decent pick in either mono green or green red decks in a limited formats. Charging Griffin is one of those cards you will play in limited without question. Any sort of evasion is always good, and for 4 mana a 2/2 flyer is not unreasonable in limited formats, especially with the added bonus of it getting bigger when it attacks. This effect works flavourfully with its name and also provides the beat you need to end games in limited, a nice card here and splashable at only 1 coloured mana. Obviously another card only fit for limited environments, but one that will do work nonetheless. Sure, 5 mana is a little expensive for a 2/4, but with both Vigilance and Lifelink tagged onto its pretty big defensive body, Dawnstrike Paladin will provide you with both a decent attacking threat and a hefty defensive creature to boot. A nice pick in white and one that should slot into any limited deck going heavy on that colour. Enlarge does exactly what it says on the tin. It enlarges a creature with a huge 7/7 boost, trample, and forces blocks on whatever creature is targeted. For 5 mana in green, this card could easily end games in limited, or at least provide a huge one-sided blowout. The only downside is of course sorcery speed, meaning your opponents are going to see this coming a mile off and may have a chance to answer the threat. However, that works just fine flavourfully, as if you make a creature that big in reality, you'd know for sure it was coming for you anyway. Garruk's Horde is back and he's still as big and tramply as ever. I say he, but check out that artwork. Man, that'd be scary. Tons of huge great beasties running your way with one aim, smashing your skull into the dirt. And that is what this card does, it smashes face. A 7/7 trampler for 7 with the added ability to give you a chance to cast creatures from the top of your library, this card is insanely powerful and limited. Pick it if you're going green. Grim Return is easily one of my favourite cards in the set, or at least out of the ones that have been spoilt so far, and one that I think could possibly see constructed play. My reasoning behind this is the fact that instant speed recursion, and that you can steal something back from any graveyard in the game, is pretty good indeed. Think of all the times this card gives value: mulch, trading creatures, removal of a threat. Anytime a fatty hits that graveyard, you'll be reanimating it back into battle without a care in the world. Trade Thragtusks? Sure, I'll have one back. And then I'll putrefy your Restoration Angel, and now I'll take it for myself, flickering my Thragtusk that I stole from you, etc, etc. This card does work. Keep an eye on this in Constructed. Hunt the Weak is another nice fight effect in green. Fighting has become one of my favourite additions to Magic in the past few years, and as a huge fan of both Pit Fight and Prey Upon, I can get behind this card as well. This card will be nice and limited, it's both removal and a way to give your creature a boost, meaning quite often you won't be trading, you'll just be killing. A great pick for limited decks, but again, like most cards we've seen, no standard playability for me. Into the Wilds is up next, and it's a card for me that is one of those do-nothing cards that always causes you to go meh when you see it in your rare slot in a booster. In limited it may be okay, but I wouldn't be picking it highly, as for 4 mana I'd rather be throwing down a creature turn 4 to smash face with next turn. If it does get off, and it's a big if, it'll give you an extra land drop a turn, accelerating you beyond your usual mana base, allowing you to play bigger creatures and more expensive spells quicker. However, my argument here is that I'd rather be filling my deck with creatures in green, rather than having to waste a slot on something that might or might not do something. I'd rather have the assurance that a big creature of mine will be stomping towards an opponent, and thus this card has underwhelmed me to say the least. No dice. A 4/4 fly for 6 mana is good in blue as it is, at least in limited. However, Jaces Mindseeker has a nice extra ability that makes it slightly better than your average creature, as of course it should do given its rarity. When Jaces Mindseeker enters the battlefield, it allows you to mill an opponent 5 cards, then cast an instant or sorcery of your choice from amongst those without paying its mana cost. This is a fantastic ability, and one that makes it a surefire first pick for blue mages in limited formats, as whether it hits land fetch, removal, card draw, or even just manages to mill some big threats, it gives you an upper hand along with a nice evasive beater. Great card and a limited all-star in blue. A 2 mana 3/3 without a downside is hard to come by in Magic, and so Kalonian Tuska is an interesting card to look at. It reminds me of Watchwolf, a 2 mana 3/3 from the original Ravnica block. However, Watchwolf costs 1 green and 1 white, whereas our Tuska here just requires green mana. It's exactly the creature you want in green for limited formats. Clean, crisp, nothing complicated, above curve and rather big. A surefire pick for green in limited, but could this card see any standard play, I hear you ask? Well, maybe. Call of the Conclave saw play in the recent Pro Tour, and that creates a 3/3 Centaur token for 2 mana at sorcery speed. Kalonian Tuska costs 2 as well, and does not have the downside of being a token that is liable to bounce removal, giving me the idea that it's maybe good to slot into some decks. We'll have to wait and see. But keep an eye out because, who knows, this could slot into a standard deck post-rotation. Lilliana Reeva is an incredible card. A 4/3 Death Touch creature for 4 mana is amazing as it is. It blocks all day without a care and has a nice body to attack with. When it does attack, however, it has the added bonus of a combat damage based threat that forces the defending player to discard a card, and in doing so, giving you a 2/2 zombie token. Wow. That's all I can say. Limited, pick this for sure. It forces opponents to think about whether to block or not, a question that either causes them to lose a creature or take 4 and give you a 2/2. It's also a question that makes me think this card may be good enough for a standard environment. It makes players think and provides them with a tough choice, something that professional players like to have in their arsenal. It'll be really interesting to see if my prediction here is correct. One prediction I know will come to fruition, however, is that you will play this in limited. Molten Rebirth is up now, and it's a card that interests me a lot due to one aspect: flipping coins. I love flipping coins in Magic. Whether it's Stitch in Time or Rouse a Wreck, I love the idea of having a little mini-game within the grander game of Magic, as it makes things interesting, fun and random. Random abilities are something that professional Magic players don't like as a rule, and so we won't be seeing this in Standard, but for 3 mana that makes 2 adorable 1/1s, with a chance of getting the card back to your hand to play again on the basis of a flip coin, this card is awesome for limited and casual. It also fits the flavour of red so well. Chaos, and so to you wizards, I doff my cap for another awesome flip coin card. For 4 mana, a 3/3 in red is pretty good, and on that basis alone, Ogre Battle Drive will be played in limited. But it's this card's awesome ability that makes it so much more than just another creature slot. It makes creatures you control have haste when they enter the battlefield, and gives them a power boost to boot. This will be awesome in a mono red deck in limited, and will be an all-star once it's out there in play, giving red decks reach with huge aggro upside that will threaten the end of the game as soon as it hits the board. This card, along with plenty of burn and cheap creatures, could make for an easy top 8 finish in sealed and draft events, so if you fancy red or a quick win, pick up Ogre Battle Driver and crack that whip towards victory. Rise of the Dark Realms is an insane card that will be in all black EDH decks upon release. Elsewhere, 9 mana is far too expensive even for limited and will never touch standard, but returning all creatures from all graveyards is going to be one hell of an upside for commander players running black, and after a board wipe is going to force rage quits and howls of terror from your opponents as evil zombie hands rise out of the grounds around them. Seraph of the Sword is pretty awesome indeed and will be an absolute bomb in limited play. If you can't exile or burn this creature to death, it's going to sit there soaking up your biggest attacker or bash your face in continuously till you bleed out your eyes. Either way, this card is a limited all-star in white and should be really cool for casual players as well as in limited. Savage Summoning is an awesome card for sure, giving a creature flash, uncounterability and an added +1/+1 counter for just 1 green mana is incredible. Limited, yes, without a doubt. It makes combat tricky for other players and forces them to think about attacking into an apparent empty board, and I would pick it for that reason alone. How about Standard then? I think Savage Summoning will see some competitive play. Flashing your creatures at the end of your opponent's turn enables some incredibly sneaky attacks when they're expecting Summoning Sickness, and also allows you to throw down a blocker to trade or beat a threat. On top of that, I think we may have found something that makes Zertar Ancient playable. Flashing Zertar Ancient in for 6 mana during your opponent's end step gives you a whopping 12+ mana to play with on your next turn to cast whatever you like, and with mana like that, you should be able to win the game. Wow. Oh, and by the way, wizards, we get it. You hate counter. Talking of bombs, here is an actual bomb. Ratchet Bomb to be precise, and this card is what I've been wanting to talk about since this spoiler video began. That's right, it's been reprinted, and boy am I glad to see the Scars of Mirrodin card back in business. I love sweepers, and this card is one of the best out there. It's going to see play in all formats, there is no doubting that, as even without Proliferate being around, it often forces opponents to concentrate on the Ratchet Bomb rather than your life total. That alone makes it good, but its main use is dealing with tokens and the night side of Innistrad flip cards such as Huntmaster and Garruk Relentless. That's right folks, crack this card with no charge counters, and due to both of the above having no actual mana cost, they die. Simple as that. Lingering Souls, see ya. Voice of Resurgence token, sayonara. Delver, we hardly knew thee, and say goodbye to those pesky angel tokens. Needless to say, this card is insane and will be sideboarded in against all sorts of decks, including tokens and Bant Hexproof as mass removal. Pick up your set now, as these are going to start to rise in price soon. I am so psyched about this card. Can you tell? So that's been our second part of our M14 spoiler review. I hope you've enjoyed checking out this video and that you'll keep to look out for more content from our channel in the future, be it spoiler videos, deck techs, pack openings or gameplay. So if you haven't already, subscribe, comment and like this video. And before you go, how about you let us know what reprint you'd like to see, and also let us know what you think of M14 so far. And as always, have a great day wherever you are.